What's good, y'all? It's your boy Sid. I'm back with another video, and I'm doing this video on the astrology behind the arrest of Rashad Jamal. So, a lot of you guys, some of you guys may know who Rashad Jamal is. Some of you guys may not know who he is, right? Um, there's a website right here, Famous Birthdays, and it has like a profile of his birth date, where he was actually born, and it has like the things that this person does or that people would do. Now it says it has him here under a rapper, and we're gonna read about this, but he's really more than a rapper. He's a spiritualist, he's a philanthropist, humanitarian, spiritual teacher. Um, he has a online university where he taught a lot of people. Some people have negative things to say about him, because of what he was arrested for, and some people have positive things to say about him based upon the people that he's enlightened, right? So we're gonna get more into that. I do want to definitely focus on, I would say, like the transits basically and progressions in terms of what happened on the day he was actually arrested, just to show you astrologically the energy around his chart and in relation to him. Um Again, some people, he actually got arrested on child molestation charges. Everybody has their own opinion on it. I have my own opinion on what I think about it. I'm personally not gonna knock the man just because what's said about him, because I don't know, I just have my own opinion. Like, I don't necessarily believe everything that I hear. You know what I mean? I can see that he definitely helped a lot of people. So that's my perspective. And of course, you don't have to agree with me. You have your own mindset. Some people would disagree with what I'm saying. So, but let's focus on his let's read a little about him. So they have him here under a rapper, which he does also do music, of course, like we stated. He was born November 22nd. So this is a master number, 11, or November the 11th month is a master number, and 22 is a master number in numerology. He was also born 1986 in Chicago, Illinois. Says he's 36 years old. He's a Sagittarius sun, and he was actually born on the cusp, basically, between Scorpio and Sagittarius. So he has these two different qualities with his sun sign and the way he expresses his personality, his ego, and how he identifies, which is all what the sun represents. Now, it's going to go down a little bit here. It says about him, American rapper that gained recognition for his 2022 song Kundalini Energy, which has been streamed over 10,000 times. He is also known for his outspoken personality and controversial views that he typically shows on his I am underscore Rashad Jamal Instagram account. He accumulated over 80,000 followers on Instagram. He was also a part of Jesse White's tumbling team, ran track and field, and was the star point guard high school basketball team. Yeah, was a star. Yeah. Okay. So, it says before fame, he released a single on Spotify in 2019. His first song is titled Pain and Agrimony. Trivia, he credits Malcolm X as being one of his biggest personal influences. His album, Only the Real Relates, has cover art inspired by a photo of Malcolm, right? It says family life, he lives in Atlanta with his wife, Zakiya, uh, Princess White, his two daughters, Lele White, Zoe Crawford, and his family dog Simba. Now, we don't know, of course, if all this is true. Currently he's actually locked up on these charges of, again, what I mentioned earlier. Um, so that's one thing. Now, one thing I want to state is that he actually has an online university, which I mentioned, right? So it's called the University of Cosmic Intelligence, in case you ever want to check out his work. Just to see kind of, the things he would talk about and things of that nature. Uh, so, right. He has more videos here. pretty big following. 189 thousand, excuse me, 189, yeah, thousand subscribers, right? So yeah, if you want to see the things he talks about, a lot of esoteric information, you can check out his page. I just wanted to share that with you because again, on that other page, they list him as a rapper and he has much more than that, right? So if we go back, um, said he was born November 22nd again, 1986, right, in Chicago, Illinois. So over here, I have his birth chart, right? November 22nd, 1986, right? Born on a Saturday, Chicago, Illinois. So this is his birth chart. Now, I didn't have his time. So of course, ideally we want his time, but we can't always get the time, you know. A lot of people may not know their times as well. So I'm gonna leave a link in this video for another video I did. So far, it's my most viewed video on, it's called Astrology Secrets Revealed, No Birth Time, How to Find Your Accurate Birth Chart Without the Time, right? So again, I'll leave that linked here in this video. And I basically just show you guys how to find someone's accurate chart without the time, right? And you can follow that video even if you don't have your own time of birth, right? So I told you guys a little earlier, his sun sign was on the cusp, basically. It's at 0 degrees. So it just entered Sagittarius. And so it's on the cusp of Scorpio and Sag. It was actually in Sag when he was born. He has a stellium, which is 3 or more planets, and Sagittarius, as he has Saturn here and Uranus and the Sun, right? He also has another stellium in Scorpio. So this is a emphasis, you know, in the houses as well as the signs that his birth chart is entailing. He has in Scorpio, he has Venus, Pluto, and Mercury there. So you know, Sagittarius, of course, Sagittarius sons, I always tell you guys that it's the explorer of the zodiac, but also the teacher, basically. Sagittarius has a lot of wisdom, so this is why he's prone to being someone who's very philosophical, preachy, wise. I call Sag the sage, basically, you know what I mean? The wise ones. So ruled by Jupiter, you know, they have that knowledge, right? His Mars is also in Aquarius right here in the third house. And oh, excuse me, I meant to say when you don't have the time, like I showed you in that video, you basically put the sun in the first house. And again, I showed you that in that video. But let's jump back to Mars. So Mars in Aquarius. He actually acts like the humanitarian, right? This is how he's directing his energy. Just as a plug, I did a video on Mars coming through Aquarius and the Mars sign in Aquarius, and you guys can watch that video if you want to know more about that placement, right? So this is his birth chart right here. I'm not gonna really go too deep into this. I'm also gonna look at the transits, right? So let's go back, right? I found another article. Whoever wrote this, I don't think they really did the best on editing it, but I was trying to find the dates that he actually was arrested because recently, within this last month, he actually got charged, but he was actually arrested for I think like over a year, so longer than a year. Um, so this was the article I found that has his time that he was arrested, and then we're gonna use that transit date to see what we could see in the chart. And I just want to show you how it was basically shown through the heavens, you know, as him being arrested. So this article was Rashad Jamal arrested again, mugshots on Twitter, fake or real. Says it was published May the 20th, 2022, 6:17 a.m. So we're gonna go down. I'm just gonna read a little bit. Following the news of his arrest, the hashtags free Rashad Jamal White have been trending on social media platforms. Not only that, Von Cut was also trending for the same as he was also arrested. Von Cut is also another you could say someone I guess in a conscious community, very spiritual young brother, you know what I mean, teaching the people. So Von Cut is saying is also an artist. He is being held in the county jail right now. Furthermore, let's talk about Rashad Jamal's arrest scene. So this is a video off his YouTube, it looks like. Okay, so it says Was Rashad Jamal arrested again? Rashad Jamal, content creator, was arrested May the 3rd, 2022. Now he lives in Atlanta, so we're gonna use that date right here, May the 3rd. It says it was a result, it was the result of the events of the previous year. Rashad Jamal received his son Zaza from his baby mom in May, according to his wife, which they put that twice, according to his wife. He was forced to return the child when she accused him of kidnapping her child. So this is the, excuse me, this is the baby mom that they're saying accused Rashad Jamal of kidnapping their child. In August, she then claimed that Rashad had asked her 11-year-old daughter to touch his private parts. The marshals then went to their house and broke down the door, but they were not home. Not only that, he recruited lawyers after that, and she had been appearing in court since October. He and his family were apparently unaware whether he had a new court date or was required to surrender. The police stopped Rashad and his family on their way to an eye exam on May the 3rd. They charged him with first degree child molestation and cruelty to minors. Likewise, he is currently being held in Barrow County Jail. He made his first appearance before Judge blah 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 on Friday, May the 6th, but he was denied bond, right? So I'm not going to continue to read this, but I just wanted to share that. So the things I want you to pay attention to in this story, right, was it was about um his baby moms basically accusing him of kidnapping a child. So it's themes of children basically, which is what I want you to pay attention to, right? Um and also they said that Rashad Jamal, and here was let's see. It says the police stopped Rashad Jamal on their way to an eye exam on May the 3rd, right? So that means that he was in basically in traffic or on the move basically when he got arrested. So I just want you to pay attention to these things, right? So this was again on, what was it, May the 3rd, 2022, right? So now let's go to his chart. I'm gonna pull up the transit date for that chart, right? So inner wheel is his birth chart, as we see right here, right? Outer wheel represents the transits on, over here we see May the 3rd, 2022 in Atlanta, Georgia, which is where he lives or lived, right? So let's try to look to see what's going on. And if we could see anything that stands out, because I found some things, but I just want to share this with you guys. So let's see. Okay, so one of the things to me off top that stood out was his Mars being conjunct by transiting Saturn, right? That's one of the major things that stood out. So was also Mars was also conjunct his Jupiter in the fourth house, and the moon was making a square to his Jupiter, right? Transiting moon was making a square to his natal Jupiter. So let's tie in a story in terms of what the planets were telling us what was going on for him. So moon was, remember, this was the day he was arrested. So actually, no, let's start back here. So Saturn, transiting Saturn. So Saturn represents law, right? It represents karma. It represents restrictions, delays, blockages, obstacles. Um, and Mars represents his actions, right? So we see he has Mars in his third house. If you remember that the article was saying that he was stopped while he was kind of like in traffic or on the move, stopped while going to an eye exam, right? So third house can represent vehicles, right? Third house can represent vehicles. It can represent traveling in your immediate neighborhood. Mars is the planet of actions, right? So we see that he was on the move. Um, Aquarius can also rule over automobiles too. You know what I mean? Just like kind of that Gemini energy in third house. But it's something that's restricting his actions. I told you guys that Saturn is the law, literally. It rules over the law enforcement, blockages, delays, restrictions, right? Things limiting him. So something was limiting his uh him wanting or his desires, which is also Mars, to take action in his neighborhood, right? And again, this could be in a car, automobile, things of that nature. He wanted to make some type of progress because Aquarius represents progress and he was being restricted. So now Saturn is coming onto his Mars transiting, right? Mars is of Aries and Scorpio. So now we got to look to see where these signs are coming into. I mean, where these signs are. So now, Aries is in his fifth house, right? Fifth house rules over children. So it's tying in the themes of children, which is what we talked about, right? This was about children in terms of what they said happened, right? And I told you guys to pay attention to that when I was reading the little article. Now, also, Scorpio is ruling over his 12th house. What's the 12th house? If you remember any of my videos, right? 12th house is prison, right? Being isolated, being confinement, along with other things, right? But it's it's tying these themes of prison and children, which is what we read about, right? So I thought that kind of stood out. That was like, wow, it's crazy how this shit shows up. You know what I mean? I did a video on the houses in case you need to learn more, or you can read up on the houses. But fifth house is children, dating, things of that nature. Um, Along with other things, 12th house can represent being behind the scenes. A lot of things, hidden enemies, uh, distant places. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. Now his moon was square Jupiter, so at the same time, moon is your feelings, right? So around this time, uh, on this date when he was being kind of like arrested, which is Saturn, right? Um, Confined. He was feeling, which is the moon, like he wanted to express himself. Gemini represents expression, and it's in the house of partnerships, marriage, relationships. So this may have been in regards to maybe his wife or just someone he's in a relationship with. He was feeling like it, like he wanted to communicate, right? Um, but he was having an issue, which is a square, um, with his belief, which is Jupiter, right? And being able to give, right, to his family, fourth house is family and home matters. So he was wanting to communicate. I'm thinking it was his wife too, because the moon can represent feminine energy. So these planets can show up as things or people that are external but also internal if we're tying in the story. So it's a feminine energy that could possibly show up, right? Normally you have to talk to the client or the person to see how this may show up because again, astrology will give you the theme and you got to work with the person to see how it's possibly going to play out, right? So Mars is also on his Jupiter. So um he was desiring also at the same time. Mars desires and wants. So he was desiring to give, which is Pisces, a lot because remember Jupiter expands things to his family, right? But again, he had some type of conflict with this and stuff. Now, one thing I want to say too is that he has transiting Sun and Uranus, right? And his sixth house, right? So again, he was being confined, right? But Sun represents focus, right? It's where your attention is at. It also represents you. So it's saying that his attention was on wanting to have freedom, right? Or to be like, yeah, his attention was to have freedom in his day-to-day routines, right? This could possibly be even around like work. He wanted to be kind of like having the freedom. But I would think most of his day-to-day routines, because again, opposite of that, 12th house is like prison and confinement, right? So he wanted to be he wanted freedom in his day-to-day routines, but he was having an obstacle, right? Which is the opposition to his Mercury and Pluto, right? So um he was thinking that he had to make some changes kind of like behind the scenes, but he was also wanted to be free if we're tying in the theme, right? So now let's go to let's see. I want to go to so there's something called progressions. Progressions are like another added layer to the story. Um Progression charts represent the soul, how your soul is evolving basically. So for instance, the sun in your progress chart moves like basically a degree every year. And it just adds more to the story. So now we have three charts here. Of course, the inner wheel, I was telling you guys, it's a birth chart. Excuse me, transits are the outer wheel, progressions are in the middle. So to add more to the story, we have the South Node here in the 12th house. South Node represents a release, a letting go of, right? Or detachment. So he has a South Node on Venus, right? Venus could be women, it could be relationships, what you love, right? So he had to let go of what he loved and or what he values, which is Venus, love and value. And it had to do with again being confined, right? And Venus is ruling over Libra and Taurus. Libra's in 11th house. Taurus is in the 6th house. So he had to let go of what he loved or value, right? Could be some relationships. Because Libra's a sign of relationships, and it has to do with his community, networks of people, right? 11th house, which is networks of people. So that's what it's telling us in terms of the story. Also, his stability around work, 6th house, and his day-to-day routines, which is where Taurus is at, his time and themes of that. Right. So what else do I want to show you guys? I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Let's see. Um, so again, yeah, that was on the day he was arrested. I just wanted to show you that because that kind of stood out to me. Within the last month or so, he actually got convicted, right? After spending some time in jail. This was an article that came out recently, August the 21st, 2023, which is basically a month ago, right? Because it's September right now. So it says an online prophet with a huge following has been convicted of child abuse. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. You can go read it for yourself, but it says Rashad Jamal, a new age prophet with a huge online following among esoteric black communities, has been convicted of child molestation and cruelty to children. According to the court's documents obtained by Motherboard, a Georgia judge sentenced him to 18 years in prison and 22 more years on probation, a total of 40 years, right? So again, I'm not gonna read all of this. You know, I mean, you can go do your own research. You're entitled to your own opinions. I have my own thoughts on it, which I stated earlier. But I just wanted to share this. I hope this video showed a little bit, you know what I mean, just astrologically how the transits and progressions can play out. It was kind of brief, but thank you guys for tuning in. And I will have more videos coming soon. Peace, y'all.